Welcome to the True That Show, a show about lifepreneurship presented with wit, humor, and banter by Deborah Drummond and Caroline Blanchard. A lifepreneur is someone who's living life the way an entrepreneur runs their business. All in. Lifepreneurs are rock stars. Lifepreneurs are people who are brave, who risk, who live full on, who think out of the box, who win this thing called life. Lifepreneurs are around us every day. They are everyday heroes. Join Deborah and Caroline, these two stage-walking women who tell it like it is. You'll learn from the most incredible lifepreneurs who will inspire you to be the best version of you. Now here are your hosts.
Welcome back to another amazing show of True That. Thank you so much to our listeners for coming back. And we've been getting such great reviews on social media. So please keep it coming because it keeps us inspired. Caroline, I'm so excited today. Not only are we going to be introducing Marleen Redhead. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a name that everyone's going to remember, particularly when we talk about one of the businesses that this woman is kicking off. But one of the things that inspires me about this kind of stage walking woman is, I mean, we always love stage walking women, is Caroline. This is a woman who has multiple dreams going on at the same time. And so many times we hear out there, like, focus on one thing, just focus on one thing. And I love multifaceted people. You know that because we're in that bucket. We're in that bucket. And this woman, I've seen her take action on this dream and this dream. And you know what? Today I just found out about another dream that she's producing, right? So I'm loving the balls in the air. And so I've known you a little while, and I remember you telling me a really cool story. And I got to tell you, getting reminded of it today, how amazing would it be if I was paying for my phone bill and knowing that you were getting a percentage of that? I would love to buy shares in your next idea. Oh, that's right. We did a book. Oh yeah, I did really well. Okay. So you got to tell everybody listening, because I think they're not going to be surprised because you are very smart and you have a great ingenuity about you. And I know I'm complimenting you, which is not normally how we start our show, but you got to share your iPhone story. Yes,
well, it's, I was saying iPhone because you will get it when I tell the story that iPhone were non-existent back then. So that was exactly 25 years ago. I was doing my bachelor in marketing, and we had to come up with a new product for one of the end of the term, whatever big project that we're doing. And I had the idea. I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be cool that when you're in a restaurant, you sit there and you don't have to wait for the waitress to come. There's a screen, and there's a screen with pictures, and you pick what you want. It's sent directly to the kitchen, and then the waitress comes and brings you your food. Everyone was just like, it was almost like the Jefferson, like, are you crazy? That's impossible. Like, you need to keep in mind that iPads did not exist. iPhone did not exist. It was still the big computers. Let's talk about the cell phone. It was the big box. Like, you were like, well, I don't know. You must remember them, It was, back in your days. But my point to this is it was a very cool project, and we actually got an A+, which was the highest mark we could get. But I had to do a lot of convincing that it was actually something that would be possible, because there was too many components in there that did not exist. And fast forward about, 7-8 years ago, I go to an all-you-can-eat sushi with my daughter, like right beside my place. And I sit down, and actually you came with me, Deb, and that's where I told you the story. You sit down and they give you an iPad, and you basically enter your whole order, and then the waiter comes and brings you food. And I was just like, what? So can you imagine if I would have actually acted on this idea? And it was like a 50-page, project. Everything was detailed, how we would get what. But obviously we kept it as a school project. But in there you have like basically what's the iPhone today, and you also have like different process. I'm not saying I would have been able to invent the iPhone, but I'm sure I would have been able to, gather the team that would have invented the iPhone. But anyway, a big point that I'm saying all that for, because the guest that we have today, that what I find absolutely amazing about these kind of people that have this kind of mind, it's like when they're doing something and it doesn't work, most of us are like, and I was giving the example of a brush. Let's say I brush my hair and it bugs me and I'm like, gosh, I wish there was a brush that was made differently, but I put it on the counter and it basically stays there. And I move on with my day and I keep buying 25 different brushes until I find the one that I want. Well, our speaker today, when she doesn't like something, or when she has the idea of something that could be better or that could exist, she just goes and she creates it. And that I find phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. It's like you really have to have a different type of personality to act this way. And I'm gonna let you introduce her, Deb.
All right. Well, thank you. And you know what? The story that I love about, and you talk about way back in the day, but here's a really interesting part to that is that we're on Lightspeed. Like, you know, people are like, hey, Godspeed. It's like, right? We're on Lightspeed because I'll tell you what, there has been inventors and people with big, deep pockets, angel investors that have been going to science fairs for the last 10 years and 12 years looking for kids like you, right? Looking for kids like you that produce a project. And they're now going in droves, you know, instead of like going to the side of the hockey, you know, board and watching who's going to be the next player. And, you know, when they're peewees, they're now doing that in science and has been for a long time. So I have a feeling your project probably would have been picked up, funded, and we might be having this different conversation. We might be actually in that castle in Ireland making perfume together. But that's just my little dream. Anyways,
would have I noticed you? That's the big question. I'm joking, but you know, side question here, Deb. When you said you could be the next hockey player, did you try to come up with a name? And you went like, no, that's so blank that I'm just gonna say player. Okay, so let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. Thank you, Marleen, for joining us today. Anyways, I'm not going to say much more. I think I don't want to give all it away because this woman has her own zest, her own level of enthusiasm. And so, Marleen, I just want you to come on, you know, and let people know what it is that you're doing. And the one thing that inspires me is not only are you know, you're going to school to be a lawyer, you're going to share with us the company that you created out of need for yourself and for your community. And then you've got another little project coming on. So the one thing that I get out of you mostly is it's okay to dream. It's okay to dream. And I know that that's a big mission of yours. So come on and join with our listeners and our viewers and just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you think?
Thank you so much, Deb. I was waiting for you to finish before I said anything. I want to make sure. But thank you so much because I'm all about the connection and the visioning and dreaming, right? But I'm also about going beyond that. So if I take Caroline's story, for example, how she had this idea, which was beyond the box, right? Beyond the scope of what is happening at that time. That's where I come in. I'm like, why can't you do it? Why? What is stopping you? You already have this great, you got an A+ for crying out loud. So wouldn't that indicate that this would go further? So I'm here to tell the listeners that it can go further. And I'm saying that as an example of myself. I'm going further. And we'll keep on going further until the day I die. Let me just put it out there, right? There's nothing stopping you, right? There's nothing preventing you, but dare I say, maybe just you. Maybe you are your own blessing blocker. So remove those negative beliefs and those limiting concepts and do what you need to do. So if you need to take a course, take that course. If you need to join with a network, join with the network. But at the end of the day, not only will you achieve your dream, it will be realized for the whole world to see. And that's what I'm imparting on the viewers and the listeners to do what they know that they can do, and can translates to will do. And that's what I do, right? I'm not in school for nothing. I'm not, right? I'm not doing anything for nothing. Nothing is for nothing. There's always a purpose. There's always a basis. So then why aren't you doing it? Kind of a thing.
I love that. I love that. I love the term. And you know what? I'm going to steal that from you for a course that I need to teach. And I love it. And we'll probably bring you on. Blessing blocker. Like, who's blocking your blessing? Yes. I got to ask you. So for the listeners, they don't know that you are actually in law school right now and juggling a couple of, businesses, not working for other people, but building your businesses. So, you've got and like you said, you're not doing this for nothing. You're not staying up late for nothing. You're not paying for this school for nothing. You're not doing the hours and studying for nothing. I know I've tried to reach you a few times. You're like, I'm in it, girl. I'm in it. So tell me the original, because what made you decide to be a lawyer? Like, what's your story there? What's your story there? She's laughing because she knows it's true. She's like, days.
I was 7. It was career day at school. And let me tell you how I love to argue, right? My mother will tell you, I got so many whoopings because you couldn't shut me up. But that's where it came. And that's why I said, don't dismiss your imagination because it will bring you far, right? So I was 7, right? And I'm watching all these law shows, Harry Mason, Matlock, Murder, She Wrote, right? I'm like, I could do that. Mom, can I do that? I was like, She's like, whatever. No. And I did, because I went to school at a young age. I went to college at a young age. I went to university at a young age. Why? Because the only thing that was in my mind was lawyer, because you already need a degree before you can even get to law school. So, right? So, but when real life happened, it was like, oh, law school is how much? I have to spend how much time? So that was detrimental to me because I already have this dream. And at this point, I've had it for how many decades? So I'm like, wow, this dream is taking long. Like, what's the deal? So I never forgot it, but I kind of put it aside because I got into other things, which hence business, because I got my MBA, which is why I want to go into business, right?
Yep.
So I can marry them, because if you go to school, not any school, the MBA and the JD, which is the law, is a combined course. So I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. So then law came back into my mind. I'm like, okay, let me do it. And this is why I'm saying, don't let anything stop you, right? Because if it does come back to you, and it will, because you dreamt it, it will be more beneficial to do it now than years or decades after the fact.
No, and MBA is not it's not a simple one to do.
No.
I just have my bachelor in business, and then, next step was MBA, and I was just like, no. No. So I admire you, and what I do like too is that's the one thing that I always said about MBA and about a lot of degrees. You should go out there and have to be in the real world before being allowed to do these things, because there's a lot of like real life situations that you need to apply, and obviously now you have the experience and everything, so your law degree must be like going way different than your MBA went when you were younger, because now it's like your second one. You started a business, you did this, you did that, you're super self-confident, and you're empowered, and you're self-empowering yourself as well. That was
thank you.
No, but when you're in those shoes, it's a way different way of studying, and it's a way different way of like absorbing the information. And because I know I have a few lawyers in my family, so when you said I love to argue, it brought me back like right to childhood, and I was like, ah. And actually, my son, I always told him, I always thought he would be a lawyer, and it's not too late. He's only 22, but since he was little, I was just like, oh gosh, you have it in your blood. You have it in your blood, but we'll see. Anyway, back to you. Talk to us about a program that you actually, started yourself. And what I found so, and I didn't know you had an MBA before when you told us that, and now it makes total sense. you actually developed a program that you patented, which that in
That is
itself
correct.
is like,
Correct.
oh my gosh. So talk to us a bit about that program.
So again, the program is my story from imagination to actually working on getting the law degree to now realizing it, right? So it's a 3-step program that I want to introduce to the listeners, but with some validity behind it. And the validity is I'm not just saying, oh, you can do it. Why not? The story is my story. And if I can do it, if I can be that example that you need, because we all need support, we all need that network, right? So if I can be that or one of the support that you need and require, then let me help you by telling you how I did it, right? Again, from childhood. So many of our dreams are from childhood, right? And so many of the dreams are dead because of, like I said, blessing blockers or the naysayers or the negative talk and the criticisms, right? So it's like this program elevates you to go beyond that. This program shows you step by step how to get from A to B to C. So and it's called the inspiration model. And it's inspirational because it's all about you and your dreams and how you can now get to your dreams, right? Because it's not some alien concept, right? It's first of all, it's all about work, right? If you recall, you need a degree before you even go to law school. So you're going to have to work before to get another degree, right? So the program is more of getting into your mindset. If you already have the mind to be XYZ, a CEO, right? A president of a company, right? A chief financial officer or whatever, right? You need that course. You need that training. You need that study. But the inspiration model, yes, you may know you need it, but it's not go and get it. It's more like, let's talk. Let's talk about why you have this dream. And let's work together on how to achieve it, right? Which is the second step, which is work. And the last step is the actual realization. You look back and you see that everything you've worked on came to pass. Everything that you dreamed of came to pass. So what can this model do? Start all over. It's a cyclical maneuver, right? Just because you achieve one dream, why can't you achieve another? And this is why I say I'm using myself, because I found out that I have another dream, right? Hence the inspiration model, hence any other dream, right? It's never too late. And it can be too late because you're in a circle. You're not in a box. You get what I'm saying?
One of the things that I love that you're actually reiterating, and we were actually, myself and Caroline were on a call last night, a personal development coaching circle. And we were imparting this concept of almost self-honesty and self-preservation, yet in community. You know, when people ask us, you know, how did you hit a book number one? How did you do this in work? How do you get up and do what you do? And how do you manage 3 kids and 4 dogs and a cat and sit there looking good? You know what I mean? And what happens is because you have a community behind you, even if it's one person. Do you know, when working with someone like you, I've said from the time I'm 27, I've been under the guide of a counselor, a guide, a coach, an advisor, someone that you can draw from, because each time you get to that new level, for you, it's each time you add a new company, a business, a degree, whatever, when you go through that cycle, where are you drawing your fuel? Because I don't think any one of us are omnipotent. Like, we can't self-fuel and give out, particularly, I think, you know, and not to sound like I'm gender, but women tend to be the outpourers, right? We're like in the community, we're doing this, we're doing that. And which is really, I think, one of the draws to the other company. We haven't even talked about this wonderful company that you built. Now we know you have an MBA. Now we know it's not, hey, is it going to be successful? It's like, check. But you know what? The truth is, not a degree doesn't make a person. A degree doesn't make you successful. A non-degree doesn't. I mean, I didn't do the MBA, and lots of times I'm like, oh man, if I had had an MBA, if I had had a degree, I probably wouldn't have made that mistake. We don't know. We don't know, right? I think it's about gumption. You got plenty of that, my friend. Enough to share and overpour, obviously. But tell us about this darn business that, it was funny when Caroline was talking about the hairbrush, and I'm like, how applicable. And my God, look at your last name. This is a dead ringer. But tell us about this business that came out of a need that's like Redhead. That's a good lead in. Go for it. Tell us about this product, girl.
It is for a niche market, which is Black women. So I've been doing research even before this idea came, because this idea came to me, it's been a few years now. Let's say 5 years ago. Came to me, I was like, yeah, right? Because as a Black woman, we have problems getting hair care, right? Shampoos, gels, whatever you call it, right? So when we go to the Shoppers or Rexall or whatever drugstore it is, there's no problem in getting hair products, right? Hence, when you reach to the Black part of that aisle, it really diminishes, right? And it's funny because we have so many products for our hair. So why is it that we can't have the same access? So I'm like, this actually was brought up a few years ago. What really pushed me to have this product, to have this company, was this. Let me just get comfortable a little bit. December 30th of last year, a Black woman in Montreal, right, just went into a drugstore. I'm not going to tell you the name of it because it don't matter. And she's just trying to get her hair, right, a shampoo, right? It was cordoned off. It was blocked off with police tape. And there was a big sign that says non-essential. I was like, what? What? And she complained. She complained to manager, CEO. She complained on CBC. So this was a news event the next month, right? And all you see is a big X and a non-essential. And the only thing the manager can say, oh, it was a mistake. We didn't mean to do that. Oh, we don't understand. I was like, Unfortunately, I don't know what happened in that case because I'm in school. but I'm kind of following it, right? I know she had filed a civil suit. She's getting into litigation. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's right. So this is what actually pushed me to develop this company. Right? Because it's bad enough that we can't use what's out there, but now you're telling us that we can't get it in the essential service of a drugstore. Is that what you're telling us? I was like, no, it stops right here. So it's not only we need that, right? It is essential. It is essential. So my company provides hair care, like shampoo and stuff, but it's also wigs and hair pieces and whatever you need, right? Because that's what we like to use. That's what we like to do. And I did a research, I think it was a year ago. The population and I only did Ottawa because I'm in Ottawa. The population in Ottawa for Black people, we're like 64% of the entire population. So I'm like, well, that's a pretty number. Why aren't we treated better? Right? Because now you're dismissing your money. Because if we're that many people, we're buying the products, you're just dismissing that economy right there. So I'm like, no more. I'm going to answer that need because we need hair care. But I'm also going to make it available. I'm also going to make it accessible. And I'm also going to make it affordable. The triple A's that we need, because we've been denied so many times, right? And most recently, December 30th of 2020, on top of that. Really? No,
Well,
that's...
I have a name suggestion. You should call it The Essential.
Ooh, that's nice.
I was going to say The Black Essential, but just keep it at The Essential.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I so get what you're saying, because, and without getting into that debate of, excuse me, what's essential and what's not, our hair is important. It is important. And, you know, there's so many, if you think about all the expressions that are out there, like bad hair day and et cetera, our hair is just, it's part of our body. It's part of like our personality. It's part of our expression. It's part, you know, so I think it's pretty cool that you're developing a hairline specifically for Black people, because I do know that, you know, I watched this amazing movie, Madame C.J. Walker, and, you know, she's one of the, well, not one of the first ones. She developed a line in very early days, but it was the same thing as you. It was just like, I'm done with it. I want hair. You know, I want to have nice hair too. And that's when I was talking about you in the beginning, that's what I really like about you, is that, you know, you don't just sit there and be like, oh, there's something I didn't like, and then let's talk about it and let's put it on Facebook. You're actually like, let's do something about it. So you're developing your own line, and congratulations for that. And the minute that it's actually on the market, we will help you promote it, because I think it's absolutely, you know, essential to promote different lines, especially when it's for minorities, because, you know, we are blessed enough to have access to so many products, which anyway, honestly, in my opinion, 90% of them we shouldn't use. But, you know, anyway, so congratulations for that. And talk to us about, you know, what's your next step now? Like, and it's almost weird to ask you that because you're in the middle of 42 different steps. But what's your... Like, what's your next step? Like, let's say tomorrow, what's your focus? What's your, where you're going next?
So I'm actually writing a book. Yeah,
in your spare time? In your spare time, you're just writing? Sorry, I'm laughing, but it's...
so much free time between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Saturday. It's great.
I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's actually commendable. I'm kind of laughing because, you know, I do know how busy you are. So just to say, add on top of that, well, I'm writing a book. Like, keep on going.
And it goes back to the support aspect, right? Because I'm not writing it alone. So when I say I'm not writing it alone, yes, it's my book. But I have that support. I have that network. I have my coach. I have my strategist who's kind of helping me and directing me to implement. So the implementation stage, I guess, so that I can have a book in like a month or right from now. So and I do schedule everything like down to the wire, right? After this interview, hey, I gotta go study. And after that, okay, let me work on the book for another hour. So the day is not wasted, right? There's 24 hours a day. And I usually sleep 4 or 5 hours. Okay, what else am I doing for the remainder, right? So let's be proactive. Let's be creative. And let's make as much dreams come true as we can. Right? Because again, we're not in a box, we're in a cycle, right? And a beautiful cycle, right? So there's no end. Because when you're in a box, you have the corners and you're stuck, right? But in a circle, just keep on going and keep on going. So yeah.
Marleen, one of the things that I love that I hope that our listeners that are creatives are hearing. And I think, what Caroline was alluding to is that there is a lot of people that, like yourself, they're just creatives. It shows up for you in law. It shows up for you in hair. It's going to show up for you in a book. With us, it shows up as a podcast. It shows up as brain health. It just shows up. And the beautiful thing about when you are a creative is to not allow the comments about, what are you doing now? Like those kind of comments to land as negatives, right? It's just an observation of someone watching a creative juggle those balls. But the nice thing that I think that you are a beacon for is for people that have those minds. It's okay. Just let them come, because people could say, I could say the same thing to Caroline. So what's on the agenda this year? Now, knowing that she's a creative, chances are she could tell me what she's got planned, but something might just pop up and she might just grab onto that, the kite, the tail of the kite. It's like, well, I'm going to go in that direction right now. Because when you're in flow, and I love how you describe boxes kind of stop you, you got to kind of stop and rethink, okay, am I going in this direction? Doesn't mean you don't have focus. Being a creative doesn't mean you don't have focus. It doesn't mean that you don't have dreams. It doesn't mean you don't have goals. I'm very structured. I lay it out, but there's also an energy and an essence that actually has its own life. And you can follow that. And that's where I think you love that circle, because you're going to write that book. You don't know where that book's going to take you. You're going to start this hair care business or continue with it. You don't know how big that's going to go. You don't know. You might be on Ellen in 6 months and your book's going to go to the wayside and you're going to finish it in 4 years. Who cares? Right? It's like being open to that flow. That's what I get when I hear about you. It's like, as a creative, you're very much a beacon, because it's okay. Juggle, and then something's going to take you off in a direction. Just like, our book took us 3.5 months. People are like, are you kidding? I'm like, who knew? It could have taken 3 years, right? And then it took us to this interview, and then we met you, and now we're hanging out with you. And I think one of the great things that I would tell anybody is this is a woman to watch. Like, this is a woman to watch. You need to connect with her, whether you're doing it through social media or you're reaching out to her personally. You're one of those people that are going to be a game changer. And I don't even think we know where you're going to be in 3 years, because it could be in a multitude. But what we know is it's going to be your own greatness, right? Because that's the standard you're setting for yourself, is what is a place of greatness. And you're willing to take people to their greatness. And sometimes it's okay to not know where that's going to take you, right? Like I said, you could be on Ellen with this hair business, or you could be sitting talking to, like a New York bestseller doing an interview, right? Because your book did this, or it landed in the hands of this. So I think that's what I get. Your energy is so inspirational that it's just okay. Like, it's okay to just to live an inspired life. So I know we're kind of coming to the end of the interview a little bit. I definitely want to coin you as a woman to watch, and women that are women to watch should be hanging out, watching where you're going to go. But Caroline, is there anything that you'd like to say to finish up? And then, of course, Marleen, we want you to please tell people how they can reach you.
Well, I was going to say that. First, I was going to say, like, when you're on Ellen, can you please, just give her my number? Like, I've been kind of messaging her a few times, but she's just not answering. So maybe if it comes from you, she'll answer. Then when you're on Oprah, you can do the same thing. Just give her my number. But I was going to say that the same thing as Deb. Please tell us, how can people reach you? And there's many different ways or reasons why people would want to reach out to you. First of all, if they want to participate in your projects with you, I'm sure you're open and you're very well, what's the word? You're very well protected with your law and your MBA. You will make smart decisions. But also people that want to take part in your inspirational, model work. And am I saying it correctly? I'm hoping. But how can people reach you?
Before I say anything, I just want to say thank you, Deb. Love you. And thank you, Carolyn. This was amazing. And just to talk and just to let people know that they can do it. And that's how they can reach out to me. My personal email, not personal, sorry, the business email will be youcandoit. I think it's .com or .vip. I'm sorry, I have to check that. I really have to check that. But you can do it whatever, and I'll reaffirm that with you.
And we will put it in the details. So
right. But and it's that email address, because guess what? You can do it. You can do it. It's in you to do it. So let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation. Let's look at the steps and the criteria, and let's do it.
Awesome. And when you're a lawyer, I want your business card.
Awesome.
I want your business card, because I want to actually just know when your trials will be. I just want to go see you perform. I'm sure it's going to be, very brilliant, but also entertaining. It's just a gut feeling that I have. I want to go watch a trial. So thank you so much for being on today. That was so enjoyable. And honestly, it's inspirational. And I feel like if I'm down or something, if I have a funk day, I'll just call you because you have that kind of voice and that kind of that determination that it's like, okay, just get up and do it, girl. So thank you for that. And Deb, I'll let you close.
Yeah, that was amazing. So Marleen, before we go off, because I can hear the listeners asking, what kind of law did you choose? Just before we go off,
I wanted to do international law. But with all the human rights being denied, right? Like that example of in Montreal, and with the Black Lives Matter and the sexism, I'm thinking of switching to social justice, right? Because I'm feeling that as a Black woman, I can be that voice that's missing and be that example, because stuff has happened to me as well, which I'm not getting to that right now. So it's really social justice that I'm turning into.
Right. And so what?
Another 10 years.
So what I know is that when that happens, we're going to be doing another interview. So I could just, sometimes we hear our listeners, we know our listeners, we're going to be like, the missing piece. And so thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, Caroline. It's always fun. And I loved your story. I love, the iPhone, iPad, order your story. That was fantastic. Definitely a sign of the times. And ladies, as always, a pleasure. Thank you, listeners. We're going to be putting all your information up so you can definitely watch and connect with Marleen. And with that, we'll just sign off.